I wanted to shake him. I legit wanted to shake the man. We had just lost our baby, and he wasn't saying anything. He wasn't talking about it, and so in my mind, that meant he wasn't processing it the right way. My name is Sam Evan Schroeder. I'm the grief advocate Unedited, and in this video today, I'm going to talk about the difference between the way men grieve and the way women grieve. In order to explain the differences between the way men grieve and the way women grieve, I'm going to use my own story as an example. And I'm just going to throw up a big old trigger warning right now because part of the story is pretty rough. So I miscarried on a Sunday night, and I was experiencing cramping, so I got into the bathtub to ease my muscles and to just try to feel better. And that's when I started passing clumps of tissue. The clumps of tissue actually changed the color of the water. You know, it went from pink to red to darker red. I went numb. It literally knocked the wind out of me because I didn't know how to react, or like I just never experienced anything like that before. So it was crazy. And I was in the bathroom by myself at that point. In the tissue, I actually found the baby. And again, it knocked the wind out of me. And I was staring at my child. I didn't know what to do with it. And so I called my husband in. And he knew I thought I might be miscarrying, but he didn't know I was actually miscarrying. Right? So we already were in like two different places. I was in the tub and the water had slowly progressed in color while I was in there, and that wasn't what my focus was. My husband came into the bathroom and saw the tub. That was the first thing. And then he saw my hands and what I was holding, and that was the second thing. And I looked a little bit crazy. And he was like, well, why don't you get showered and, rinse off, and then I'll take you to the ER. And in my head, I was like, why would I go to the ER? My body is doing exactly what it was supposed to be doing. He was looking at it differently. He saw the blood and was worried about me. We put the baby in a container and put it in the fridge until we knew what to do. And we ended up burying it later. I stood up and I rinsed off, and as I was showering, I started passing more tissue. And my husband had said, like, I'll be right here. And I didn't know that right here meant in the bathroom waiting. Like, he was sitting, like he had closed the toilet seat and he was just sitting on the toilet seat in the bathroom while I showered. And I didn't know he was in there. So I stood and I rinsed off, and I was passing tissue and I was crying and I was shouting at God. And I just kept saying, like, there's so much blood, so much blood. And I didn't know he was listening to me. And he was like, Sam, can I please take you to the ER? Can we please go to the hospital? And his voice knocked me out of my own perspective. I don't know how else to say that. Like, I was in my own head dealing with my own thing, and then I paused and I was able to see what he saw from his perspective. Like, he was afraid for me. We'd already lost our baby. There's nothing he could do about that. So he was in survival mode. He was worried about his wife, his partner, making sure I was okay. And I realized he'd seen the blood, and he'd heard me saying more blood, more blood. So he was worried about my safety. So I told him, no, I'm okay. Physically, my body is doing what it's supposed to be doing. It's cleaning itself out. Sweetheart, this is the baby's blood, not my blood. I'm okay. I'm not a doctor. When I thought I was miscarrying, before I even got in the tub, I called the doctor's office and scheduled an appointment. So we had an appointment scheduled for Monday morning, and it was Sunday night. So I just figured, like, unless something really, really bad happens, I can wait till tomorrow morning and see what the doctor has to say. But I was 90% sure that my body was doing what it was supposed to be doing, and I was okay. My husband went to the appointment with me the next day. I had to get my blood level checked. As I was getting my blood levels checked, we were sitting in a technician's room, and there was this picture, a hand-drawn picture of an angel hanging on the wall. And we asked the technician about it. He said, oh, my daughter passed away in a motorcycle accident. The man continued drawing my blood, and I had to do a few more things, and I couldn't find Clint when I was done with a couple of procedures that I needed to do. I found him outside. And when I saw him, I didn't recognize him. He was sitting on this bench. He was hunched over. His hands were on his head. And he was so broken. I didn't know who he was at first. And he just said, life is so hard. It's like that technician's story hit me. Like, life is hard for everyone. So I saw a glimpse of his grief there. I saw another glimpse of his grief when he said, if we experience another miscarriage, I'm going to get checked to make sure I'm okay. Like, he wanted to take the blame for it. He wanted to shoulder the pain and take the brunt of the guilt. And he was trying to protect me. They're protectors, and they're going to do what they can to protect their spouse or their partner in whatever way that looks like. I mean, maybe it means trying not to talk about it, trying not to bring it up so it won't hurt you. He was worried about his sperm count and sperm inadequacy, and worried that he'd been too rough with me during intercourse, and like all these things, right? Like, he was trying to take the blame for it, because by taking the blame for it, then he was also protecting me. But I still didn't feel like he was talking about it enough, because I knew that I was spending like all day, every day, talking to women who'd miscarried, and I was writing this book, and I was processing it with anyone who would listen, and he wasn't talking about it. He wasn't saying anything. And then he finally like scheduled this dinner with a couple guy friends, and they went out, and I was so glad. I was so glad. Like, okay, he's gonna talk about it. He's gonna, process his grief. And he got back, and I was like, so how'd the conversation go? Like, what did the guys say about miscarriage? He's like, we didn't talk about the miscarriage. They told me they were sorry, and then we talked about other things. What do you mean you didn't talk about the miscarriage? The thing. You went out to dinner for the thing, and you didn't talk about the thing. Like, what do you mean? I wanted to understand more about why he was not talking about the grief, why he was not processing it. I actually asked the husband of a friend who'd miscarried about his experience with the loss. And he said, I felt powerless. And that was the end. Like, that's all he said was, I felt powerless. And I'd gotten the same impression from Clint, powerlessness. And that's when I realized, that's when I backed off a little bit from nagging him about the grief, that he didn't need as many words to process the grief. He was only trying to come up with words to please me, to make me happy, but he didn't need to use them for himself. He wasn't trying to write a book like I was writing a book. He was just trying to please his wife. His way of coping was actually to throw himself into his schoolwork. He was going to get his bachelor's at the time, and that year he graduated with magna cum laude honors. He found a project and he fixated on it, and he just went for it. At another point on a Sunday morning, we were sitting in church listening to a sermon about the prodigal son, which, if you know anything about the other book I'm working on, it's kind of ironic. But the pastor was talking about servants being barefoot, and so when the father says, like, hey, bring my son a pair of shoes, it signifies that he's not just a servant. So I am like honed in, like zoomed in on what the pastor is saying, totally focused. And next to me, my husband starts talking to himself. He didn't even need me for the conversation. He said, I'm like a wounded dog. I turned to him, I was like, what? It's like, I'm like a wounded dog with its leg caught in a trap. It needs help, but you get too close and then his sentence ran out of steam, and I was like, and it bites at the person trying to help him? And he's like, yeah, I'm a wounded dog. I'm great with analogies, aren't I? I'm so good with analogies. My husband also had ADHD, so his thought processes were as erratic as my mood swings when I was pregnant. And also, I keep talking about my husband in past tense because he passed away of cancer in 2019. So I remarried in 2022, in case you're confused. He's like, I like the way this pastor preaches. Oh, yeah, that makes good sense. It's hard to run away without shoes on. He had gone from giving me a glimpse of his grief, a window open, close, like open slam, to going back to talking about the sermon and the servant and the shoes. And yes, and servants can't run away without shoes on, so that makes good sense. This man, like, my hair's all over. So here's what I'm gonna say. Go easy on your spouse. Go easy on your partner. It was his child too. He lost the baby too. And he's not gonna process it the same way that you are, but it doesn't mean he's not processing it at all. His worries are different. He's not just worried about trying to get pregnant again. He is worried about your safety. He is worried about your heart. He's worried about you. Father's Day is right around the corner, so if you know a man who's experienced infant loss, maybe reach out to him. Go easy on him this Father's Day, because it's not easy. And even though he's not saying anything, it doesn't mean he's not hurting about it, not thinking about it. If you're a father of infant loss and you're watching this, I want to wish you a happy Father's Day. There is a child in heaven who knows your name is Dad. If you're not a father of infant loss, but you know someone who has experienced infant loss, make sure you wish him a happy Father's Day. Acknowledge the child in heaven who calls him Dad. No matter what, hang in there, okay? Infant loss is one of the hardest things a person can experience. If you like this video, if you thought it was helpful, make sure you hit subscribe so that you can see content in the future that would be helpful to you. You are not alone. You are loved. You got this.